Okay, I'm going to show you how to make your greeting card. Okay, so essentially you're going to have this piece of paper, you're going to have a flap, and you're also going to need a battery. Okay, you're going to need hopefully three chibi lights, and you'll also need your copper tape. Okay, before you do anything, you're going to need to glue on your flap, your battery flap, and so you're going to glue it on just like this. Okay, we're going to use glue stick, and then you're going to need to put on here, and you're going to need to kind of trace around your battery for multiple reasons, not of which so you know where to put your tape. And so this is kind of a reminder because we'll eventually adhere our battery onto our circuit, okay? Because what this is, and if you notice when you're looking at this battery, you notice that there's a positive there. So if this is the positive, then the back is obviously going to be the negative. And you don't see the negative, but you're just going to assume if this is the positive, the other side is the negative, okay? And so because of that, this is the way you're normally going to glue it on there with the negative down, okay? So if that's the negative down, then you're going to go ahead and start with your copper tape. And with your copper tape, you have a predetermined amount. Unlike me, I have a roll of it right now, and it just takes off very, very easily, okay? It's flimsy. Yes, it's bendable. It's kind of like, it's almost paper thin. Please do not waste this, okay? You've given a certain amount, and what you have is what you have, and that's it, okay? This is not cheap, so I need you to make sure. So what you need to make sure you do is I've kind of taken mine, if you can see, this is a close-up, but you've seen I've already taken the backing off some of it, so it's easier to work with. And so what you're going to do is one side is sticky, the other side is not. And you need to make sure that you start your circuit here, because this way now it is starting and is beginning my circuit. So now we've talked about how it always has to touch the positive and the negative. So right now it's successfully touching the negative, okay? Now this is one of a couple of different patterns, unless we ended up making just this one. This may be a choice or not a choice. But either way, this is what it is. So it's always going to be down here as your flap. So if you see this paper, this is the one that's going to end up going. So don't start it here. It has to go on the negative side. Okay? And so literally all you're going to do is, as best as you can, you're going to just follow along the line. Again, it's as best as you can. Okay, now this is where it gets tricky. Okay? So you're going to have to end up kind of folding it. So you're going to have to kind of turn it. So just kind of start moving it around and see if you can lay it on top of one another. And so if you can kind of crimp it down, again, this is, as you can tell, I'm not doing the best right now, but see how it's kind of laid on top of itself? I'm going to move it up just so you can see what I'm talking about. See how it's ended up laying on top of itself? Okay, like that. Okay, and so that way you want it to lay as flat as can be. And I'm going to keep turning mine so you're able to see what I'm doing. Again, this is my negative track, okay, because we're going to, in a moment, make a positive track. And we want to keep them separate because when you put your chibi lights on there, you're going to have to make sure you can identify which one is your positive and which one is your negative. With that being said, I am going to make a quick note. If you want to go ahead and mark yours negative right there to remind yourself, okay? Okay, again, I'm going here. Kind of going here, using my fingernail or finger to kind of start turning. Just turn, just keep turning. It'll end up folding it in on itself. Sorry. Okay, so if you need some help, ask some help, but try it a couple times before you ask for help, okay? Because you've got to have it made where it is a, so you want to go to the end of the circuit. You want to go to the end of the thing, and then you're going to want to almost, dare I say, come back on itself. You can see how it came back right there. So I went up, came back. You can put your fingernail and just turn. So again, go all the way to the end, all the way in, come back over yourself, and then twist and turn at the same time. Okay, you see I'm off a little bit right there, and that's fine. So again, I went to the end, came back on itself, and twist and turn. So you're almost making like a 90-degree angle. Now you notice I get to this end point right here, and this is where you're going to need to go ahead and cut it. So now we're done. Okay? So again, this is my negative. If you want to write this on here, this is your negative. Now this is where you're positive. So we've talked about this, we've done this, and this is our thing right here. So that means this is my positive. So this right here is going to touch my positive part of my battery. So that means, yes, that we're going to have a light, or excuse me, a copper wire here. So this is where you really need to kind of pay attention. So when you're doing this, you're going to want to lay it this way. So again, if I were to touch it, and you're going to have to look, if I fold it over, is it going to end up hitting the top of my battery? So again, this is my positive. So again, you see how I have it on the inside. And I do. So if I close it, it's going to end up touching, which is exactly what I want. So you're going to start doing the second part of your lights, or your copper wire, right here. Okay? So I'm going to take my battery out. I'm going to fold it back on itself, kind of right here. And then I'm going to start my track. Okay? So again, fold it over. Let's say that I stop here, fold it back on itself, and turn. So yeah, it's going to end up going to the paper. So see how you can see how it does this. Because again, we want this to be able to touch this. So again, if you want to write this, this is your positive wire. Okay, again, you're going to go over it, go to the end, fold back on itself, and turn. And I don't know if maybe using a pencil might help you turn it a little bit. Again, as you can tell, I'm not getting perfect at this, so you're just going to have to kind of play. And again, if you're not, oh, there it goes. So just kind of press it on itself. Again, you go to the end, pull it back, and then kind of turn and twist. Don't get too much in that corner, though. Go to the end, fold back. Whoa. Okay. And at any point where you're okay with this and you know what you're doing, fast forward it till the point where I start doing the chibi lights, or I'm finishing my positive part of my circuit. Okay. So please feel free to fast forward if you're comfortable with laying the copper, which at this point I believe that you should feel pretty comfortable with that. Okay. So again, I'm doing this, I'm folding it and turning it. Okay, again, you're just going to have to be patient. There it is. And you just got to make sure it stays flat. So again, I right there, and I really pressed it down and I stay flat. Go there, over, come back. Again, I've found that maybe just pressing it down might help. So when you press it down, then you can twist it. And, you know, keeping up with your excess copper over there to the side may be a little difficult as well. Okay, so again, going to the end, folding back on itself. All right, so I'm almost done. So at this point, this is where it becomes critical, where you have to really pay attention what's going on with your positive and negative, because when we're about to put on our chibi lights, you've got a positive and negative on the lights themselves. Okay, and that's why we have put them the distance we did. Okay, so once you get that, you're going to cut it. I don't know if you saw what I did, but I cut. Okay, so it's this right here. Now, when you're looking at your chibi lights, this is them right here, and there's 3 of them right here. So I'm going to take one of them off, and I'm going to show you something on there that's really important. You're going to have to look really close. You see how there is my negative, and then right there is my positive. So if you can't see with my finger, I'm looking right there is my positive, right there is my negative. Okay, positive and negative. So when I'm laying this, I have to make sure that my positive is right here, is on my positive line. So this is my positive part of my thing. So when I do it, in this little gold part, has to lay in conjunction or right on top of. So see how it's exactly right here? I'll pull it up a little bit so you can see it. Do you see how my positive is on my positive line and this metal is on my negative? Again, how do I know this is my positive? I followed it up, 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 down, down, down. This is my positive. Up here is my negative. Well, I could follow this negative trail and go all the way around and realize that it's this one right here going back to my positive, excuse me, my negative of my battery. Okay? And as you can tell, this one's kind of sticking up, so just make sure you're pushing it down. Okay, so you get an extra, you get your other chibi light. I'm just putting them right beside each other, or better yet, I can just see, now that I've got this one on my positive, I'm just going to follow, and this again will be my positive here. Okay? And again, let's say that I want to do it down here. Okay? This is my negative, so now I need to turn it because this is my negative down here. Okay? So technically you're done. So this is how you test it. You're going to want to put your battery in here. Again, your bottom is your negative and your positive is going to be here. And then you're going to click it down here. So you see that 2 out of the 3 of my lights are working. So why this is, you're going to have to be careful. So maybe this is not on the copper wires. You all probably are thinking, how is this working when I have ends right here? Well, guys, watch. In theory, you have a parallel circuit going on. Okay, so you've got your positive, you've got your negative going up here, going up through this area, going all the way around, and it's still touching my negative, or my positive. Okay, here, okay, how am I doing this one right here? Well, it's going from my positive back to here, boop, up through my negative, and coming back around. So again, I've got this. Okay, so that's how it's working this way. But going back, so then you're going to come over here, and this is why there's stickers. You got to come here. Uh-oh. Try it again. Maybe I'm going to move it down just a little bit and see if that helps. Oh, there we go. So it's just simple, your placement. You got to make sure the placement is. So now you understand why I have to have my things put apart right here. Okay, is because this has to be on my positive, and this part of my chibi light has to be on my negative. Okay, so now you know how to do your wire. Please, please, please understand, the more you play now, the less you'll have time later. So again, this is cool and all, but it's even going to be better when you get your whole greeting card done. And you're not going to get your own battery yet. You're only going to get one just to see if the initial circuit works. Okay, so if this is done, put your name on here so we can identify it, so we can make sure that we're able to keep up with these. And this is not to be kept. You're going to keep these with Mrs. Stahlbaumer in the library. Okay. Again, it doesn't matter the placement. If I don't like this and I've decided I want to do something else, I can move these chibi lights anywhere on this copper, other than somewhere here where there only is one. Okay. So as long as there's a positive and a negative, I can have my chibi lights anywhere. Okay. So at this point, this is the conclusion of how to create your circuits. If you notice, I didn't do a great job with my corners, but it still worked. Okay, so just the corners are going to be the hardest part. Just take your time, but don't waste this. It's paper thin, it can be used. Don't crumple it up. If you don't like it, back off, pull it back, and put it back on, and it's still sticky. Okay, good luck.